All right, everyone, welcome back. We are about to start round number 10 here at the 20K at SCGCON Columbus, bringing you more modern action as always. And after last round, we saw what I would consider to be quite a bit of classic modern action. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that coming up here shortly with Mono White Hammer versus Temur Rhinos. Looks like we're going to cut right down to that. Travis Brown, of course, still alone undefeated, 9-0 against Ethan Dunn, 8-1 on Temur Rhinos. Rhinos maybe, kind of been in contention for being considered the best deck, I'd say, in Modern for a while. That conversation certainly has a lot of nuance to it. But Jarvis, I don't know where you stand on it, but dominant performance here from Ethan. Can he be the first player to defeat Travis Brown this weekend?
Yeah, great point about Rhinos. At the Pro Tour, it obviously did very well. Obviously, it's a slightly different metagame. One of the big strengths of the deck is its perceived good matchup for Spectre Scam, I think, is really why it has research and popularity. Of course, it does have, I think it's really Achilles' heel is Living End, since you're both Cascade decks, but their Cascade spell just beats yours in a one-on-one fight.
Right.
Doesn't matter because there was.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of the developments we've seen with Temur Rhinos has been incorporating things like mystical disputes and obviously alongside the force negations, counterspell type stuff that doesn't really play that well, I'd imagine, against Hammer. Maybe the force negation has some spots or whatever, but mystical disputes certainly not a card I'm excited about against a mono white Hammer deck. But beyond that, I mean, I imagine some of the interaction, specifically I'm calling out Fire Ice, 4 copies of that in most Rhinos lists, and the Fire, of course, kind of doing a little electrolyze impression does do a good job taking care of a lot of the threats that Hammer puts forth. So maybe we're dealing with draw right half of your deck kind of configuration. As Travis very quickly going to take a mulligan. Can't get a great look at the hand, but I see 2 sideways cards in it, but can't be that bad against Hammer if we know the matchup.
Definitely agree with you. I would argue that Electrolyze did a Fire Ice impression forever in Modern.
Okay, that's right. Look, I started at a time where Electrolyze had already kind of taken over. I forget sometimes that you started a little bit further back than me, so my sensibilities about things and their recency maybe not aligned with yours. But yeah, I played a lot of Electrolyze at the start of Modern and some Jeskai control style stuff, and Fire Ice was nowhere to be seen. Also, wasn't legal. I think Modern Horizons fixed that. Yeah.
It did. It's originally printed in Plane Shift, which is honestly Invasion block. A banger of a block if you go back and look at the design file, frankly.
That was like a bunch of multicolored stuff, right? That's where we really started leaning into that for the first time.
Before that, gold cards didn't really exist, and now you really see them everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Ravnica, of course, maybe the best impression of that is Travis very quickly mulliganing to a 5. Not maybe the starting wants to see, but we've seen him get it done on 3 this weekend. Gonna be pretty good. Yeah, multicolored cards, they're awesome. I love them a lot, and I think the community does too. Big part of what makes Ravnica sets the, I guess, popular dynasty of Magic sets that they are.
So the Cascade decks wouldn't exist without Alara Reborn, and that set was literally, the gimmick was it's all multicolored cards.
Oh, geez. I didn't realize that was like the kind
of
challenge going in. That's wild.
Yeah, no, if you look at the design file, literally every card in Alara Reborn is gold.
Wow. I had no idea. That's actually kind of cool because first of all, I didn't know that. Second of all, I have fond memories of Law Reborn, so obviously it wasn't a mess.
Well, it depends on you. It depends on how much you like Jund, I think, is the reality.
Extremely fair. Look, a lot of Magic players do. I'll say that. Yeah. Travis looking at 1-lander plus a lot of 2-mana spells. This is a 5, of course. A bunch of these cards have to go back. Looks like we are going to go ahead and keep. Double Purestone Paladin looks like Nate stay in the hand. Culture Complete, 3rd Purestone Paladin going to go on the bottom potentially. No, the whole hand's got to go. No thanks. Before we go.
What Travis was doing was he was looking at, okay, if I kept, what would I bottom? Then what does the hand look like? Then he decided he could maybe do better. Unfortunately, with Ethan's 2 split cards, which are almost certainly removal spells, it's probably not going to get the job done.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately for Travis, obviously Travis has no idea what's in his hand really. I mean, you could maybe plan for a removal spell or 2, especially if he doesn't match at all. But you're gonna have a struggle to present a 4-card hand of Hammer that beats removal spells and doesn't need help to do so from the top of the deck. So at this point, we're just looking for something that's gonna have a cohesive game plan And maybe even these like Esper Sentinel where you can maybe get a card for your trouble. Some of the removal can be really clunky, thanks to the kind of cascade condition that comes with the Rhinos deck. Look at a 4-card hand for Travis. Pile of lands, Culture Complete, and Esper Sentinel. I don't know if it gets much better than that on a 3. So here we go. Culture Complete, Slam Dunk, and that one at the bottom. Surge of Salvation, among other cards. Is that a Forge Anew between them? Oh, it's hard to see. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would like reluctantly keep, but you definitely are aware that you're probably going to lose.
Sure, yeah. This Esper Sentinel has some work to do at some point. Here is Sigarda's Aid going to kick it off with that one.
You remember.
Ethan doing a quick thing.
I resolved.
Maybe Force? No Forces? All right, back over to Ethan we go.
It's like it's not necessarily what you're on. I did not mulligan accordingly,
We'll
but
see
like
exactly how Ethan's
pretty
gonna kick things off. Just a wooded foothills passing the turn.
Oh, still so mad we were in the half that couldn't draw into top 8 of that energy.
I know. It was
Miri's call, whatever the not Miri's call. Yeah, the flip land.
It is Amir's call, yeah.
Oh, I got it. I'm so good. Well, what's the backside call? Miria, the something ruins?
No, that's the land from Zendikar. Like original Zendikar. I'll look it up real quick.
I don't know. It's exciting.
I know much like the front halves, the back halves I don't got.
It's a Miria Shattered Skyclave, which I would not remember that name without looking it up either.
Temur Trial. Deal.
Esper Sentinel deployed for Travis as here comes a fetched Temur Triumph on the end step. I believe that is...
It's Ketria Triumph, yeah, the showcase, right?
Ketria Triumph. A Temur Triumph on end step. Deck is called Temur Rhinos. Good to get a Temur land on end step. Go figure. Tongue twister there. Back to Ethan we go. And now... some of the removal spells online and with targets. We'll see how high we prioritize getting rid of Esper Sentinel. If allowed to live, could be something that allows Travis to unmulligan a little bit.
Yeah, the issue here is, I think with Travis such low cards, you actually just don't want to risk dying, I think, in a game where you have it mostly won. If you say, cracked your fetch land, removed it main phase, which is a natural play to do, that just actually opens you up to getting killed versus their 4-card hand, which would definitely feel bad as a way to go,
Yeah, because like he could draw, and then it'd be like, okay, activate Equimoth, land, hammer, dead. It's just like, oh man. And I think that the hammer deck maybe has some of the infect effect, where like you play scared. And Evoke Fury is the play, pitching the Fire and Ice to take care of the Esper Sentinel. Don't have to pay any extra for that. Does that mean we have a follow-up? We do. Suspend Crashing Footfalls. The tough way to do it.
So,
back to Travis we go.
I think if I'm Travis here, I would conclude that that Ethan probably has Dead Gone in hand.
Okay.
Based on that series of plays, because otherwise it's kind of weird. Well, I guess it's not that weird, because you do want to spend the mana suspending the footfall, so maybe you can't make that read, but...
Well, and what can he even do about it, right? His hand's now entirely played out. We have Inkmoth Nexus, we have Ornithopter, but not really a whole lot going on. The Crashing Footfalls, obviously 4 turns away or whatever, but it's not like you're killing him that quickly. We might just be dealing with this Footfalls coming off suspend, being good enough to get the job done with no other help, not to say whatever's in Ethan's hand.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Ethan. Looks like a Force of Negation to pick up. Murktide, Violent Outburst, Dead Gone, Otawara. Oh, that's quite a hand, oh boy.
I think this one's going to end pretty quickly because of the outburst creating 8 power on top. You have potentially Murktide as a, let's see, there would be 2 more cards in the graveyard, so it would be a 5/5 Murk. So that's a pretty quickly,
Yeah, that gets it done in 2 steps. And Travis is going to struggle to currently answer what's even on the board without the help of something like Colossus Hammer from the top of the deck. Fire up Inkmoth Nexus is what's going to happen. Attack with both.
No box.
Quick think here. And yeah, no effects. 1 infect for Ethan.
So I love this. You keep them honest by attacking with both to keep them guessing. I call it the Paul Wright soul.
Okay. Just keep them guessing. Never gonna block with this Ornithopter, not even if you make some some Rhinos, which it looks like he's going to do. Looks like here's an in-step violent outburst. That is going to trigger Cascade, and we are going to go Cascading. Of course, the deck is built in such a way where we are not going to hit anything that is not Crashing Footfalls, and there is a copy of the very powerful Suspend card. And wow, we had the hammer, chose not to pull the trigger on it, and we're going to cast it now with Crashing Footfalls in the stack. With Hardcast Force Negation up previously, that wouldn't work, but we do still have the pitch, and the Murktide Regent is going to hit the Exile Zone for Force Negation.
That Travis actually drew the card he needed.
Yeah,
Ethan didn't. Yeah, but then obviously there was a Force of Negation to deal with it.
Yeah, the Force Negation having it covered all angles is brutal, but yeah, like you called out, if he just tapped that on his main phase, didn't evoke that Fury just to kill the Esper Sentinel or whatever, actually would have died to the Inkmoth Nexus. Ethan, though, played very heads up and kept himself from dying to a Mull of 4, which Travis has been known already in this tournament to be able to win off low mulligans. And here's a draw step for Travis. It is a Stoneforge Mystic. Oh my gosh, only one card left in hand for Ethan. We have blockers. That can grab a hammer, and then what?
So I think we know the last card is Dead Gone, but normally Rhinos actually has a hard time beating anything that has more than 4 toughness.
Right, yeah, because you can just block the Rhinos all day. I mean, now, Dead Gone's a sorcery, right? We might just be dealing with,
no, it's not. It's an instant.
It's not? Oh, dang.
You're thinking of Rough Tumble.
Rough Tumble, okay. Well, then maybe this Inkmoth not going to be good enough. Need a little bit more help. I mean, second hammer obviously would do it, but, well, third hammer at this point. Attack with both Rhinos. That's 8 damage. Going to 4 is Travis Brown. Now 2 lethal threats in play. It all comes down to this turn. We have Ethan reaching for mana. What's the next piece of follow-up we have?
So it is. Yeah,
Shardless Agent. Yep, that's going to make more Rhinos. If it wasn't lethal before, it's definitely lethal now. And you see Travis kind of understanding that. Not blocking, not even trying to, maybe I'll get 2 turns. No, I got to draw it this turn. It's got to happen this turn. Here's the third copy of Crashing Footfalls we have seen face up this game.
It's worth noting that a second hammer is lethal, because what'll happen is... Oh wait, do we have enough mana? No, we're short on mana as well.
Okay.
I guess there's probably not an out then. Wait, he drew... No,
Did you draw Surge of Salvation? No, it's
no, it is a Surge, but he doesn't have any mana left.
Respond to target.
Okay.
Fetch for a mountain.
All right, yeah, we're responding. And Travis, you can see him going for the thing, and there is the Dead God like you called out. That's going to pick up the Inkmoth Nexus. Travis going to do it, and an impressive display on a Mull of 4 in game number 1. But Ethan definitely had a great hand, and definitely able to roll it up there from game number 1. What a back and forth. We expected this game to maybe just be, I mean, you heard my tone. I was like, wow, that hand is really good. It might just be rolled up. Travis continuing, I mean, a little bit of help from the top of the deck for sure, but continuing to display his prowess with this copy of Mono White Hammer that he has fallen in love with, I'd say. Able to really show a lot of prowess on Mull of 4. Impressive stuff.
Oh wait, did you notice that Travis does the thing that I think if you're not lazy, you should do every time? Which
I do it every time.
Well, I'm getting older and lazier now, so I don't do it every time. But I think when it's unclear what your sideboard is, should definitely do it just to keep them guessing. There's certain decks where I don't think it actually pays you off very much to do that.
I agree. I think in decks that require like a critical mass, you really want to mask how much of your own game plan you're disrupting based on how much you're boarding. Like not even that you're worried you're going to flip cards or whatever. Oh, I love it. The sideboard guide too. Exactly what I do. This is my exact configuration. Shuffle it all in. And actually what I used to do during the grinding is I would put the 15 cards that I wanted to be in my sideboard afterwards. So I would just arrange my configuration such that I knew what to bring in and out. But instead of like pluses and minuses, it would just be 15 cards, and that is what my sideboard should be after that game. And that way I just go through and find all the cards that are on the list. Love it. Love this stuff. So much extra percentage points you get just by putting in a little bit of work ahead of time. I love it. I love it. And here we can see Travis reaching. I see a pile of elementals in Ethan's hand. Maybe considering cutting a bunch of that stuff.
Appeared to be the cards coming out. I'm a little bit puzzled because I think it's not natural to take out Fury in this matchup.
It certainly looks pretty good there in game 1, being able to pick off Esper Sentinel, and sometimes pick up multiple other things. I know I'm obviously not sure what the sensitivity to the red card count is. Doesn't look like there's a ton, but Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Ethan's still working on the sideboard plan and exactly what Ethan wants to present. A lot of Blood Moons in the deck. Playing the Blood Moon, don't want to die more Ink Bomb next. The subtleties and stuff
Really
being
just have
cut.
to go by vibes so much in Magic.
I agree that subtlety should come out. I don't think it does a lot, really. Like, the thing about the Hammer deck is the creatures are not that important most of the
And they're
time.
cheap.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you don't really care about memory lapsing
Kind of world that we live in.
a creature from the deck. One interesting card was Flame of Anor. I know some people started playing Mutavault for that card as well in the Rhinos deck. I'm kind of interested to see if Ethan actually has that here.
Yeah, I saw some discussion actually on Twitter about that from like LSV and crew post Pro Tour. They're like, yeah, I don't know, we were considering doing this, or actually did it. I don't remember if it was something they did or just simply considered doing. Spicy.
Why are you doing this? And I'm like,
One thing I saw that it makes sense. If you just have Outburst plus Mutavault, that's 2 attacks for 10. Obviously, with the Shardos Agent, the Mutavault doesn't matter, but in the games where you don't have Shardos Agent as your Cascade spell, Mutavault can actually just be the finishing piece.
Sure.
That's a fake counter. I put a fake counter on
I mean, I definitely add something to the deck. It's something they were considering. I think it's something worth paying attention to. Didn't get a great look when we were scrolling through the deck of Ethan's. I didn't see any cards that would maybe suggest that Mutavaults or, of course, the Flames.
Well, no, I saw Flame of Anor. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see it. You saw it. Wow. Wow. I mean, I imagine if that's in your deck, you have to have like a.
Well, no, there are versions of the deck that just have a few Flame of Anors inside for no Mutavault. Obviously, Mutavault, there's a cost to it because it's a colorless land.
Yeah, yeah, and your deck is somewhat sensitive to pips, given that, you kind of want to be able to suspend Tragic Footfalls. You need to cast Outburst and Shardos Agent on 3, be able to cast either of them or whatever. You are sensitive to, even being a 3-color deck with Cryones that you're fetching on turn 1, you're sensitive to having pips in your deck. As both players now looking at opening 7s, Ethan likely on the, Travis going to be likely on the play for this one and quickly mulliganing once again to 6.
Not quite a vibe check now.
And Ethan gonna join him. Mulligans for everybody. Maybe a little bit more of an even game here than we saw as far as lopsided access to card advantage in game 1 via opening hands.
So it's funny because I think my point about subtlety in game 1 is true, but actually a key card for Travis is Drannith Magistrate. A card obviously heavily... Is it legal in CDH? I think it is.
Oh yeah, it's very good in CDH.
Exactly. But here, its purpose is a little bit different. It's just to shut off the Rhinos being cascaded into.
Yeah, it shuts off all the cascade stuff. I don't think is that literally it. There's no flashback shenanigans or anything like that. It's just the cascade. Wow.
No.
Narrow but powerful for sure.
Yeah. I think in other formats it shuts off things like Underworld Breach. I think it's the most notable one.
Easy. Oh, commanders. I mean, shutting off the commanders makes it obviously a lot more relevant.
So the intended usage of Drannith Magistrate was to cut off the companion. But the way that companion got eroded, it doesn't even do that anymore.
It doesn't even work anymore. Yeah, Ikoria, what a set. What a set. A masterpiece of its own right. And Travis very quickly likes his hand. I have to be a little nervous about that if you're Ethan. Just snap that one off. And Ethan likes his hand as well. So here we are kicking things off. Turn 1, Esper Sentinel for Travis Brown. We saw that card do quite a bit of work, even though all it did was get Fury. That's still a 2-for-1. And it is Ketria Triumph pass the turn back from Ethan. Here's a beatdowns by Esper Sentinel for 1, dropping Ethan to 19. Follow up for Travis. Going to be Inkmoth Nexus into Stoneforge Mist. Is it Cauldron Complete time?
He did get turned around.
Is it Hammer time?
Really depends on what's going on with Travis' hand. Few of the cards got turned upside down, so he's just fixing it real quick.
Yeah, I gotta fix that. That drives me nuts. Cannot stand when that happens. Colossus Hammer is going to be the find, and if you're Ethan, that certainly suggests some amount of ability to snap on present in Travis's hand as we go back to Ethan, who once again has just a pile of red cards. See multiple Fire Ices. Fury. Oh yeah, and there is Fury. That one not gonna trigger Esper Sentinel, gonna take care of both creatures. So Fury doing what it does. Powerful performance from that card we've seen this match.
Wow. Looks like there's a Flame of Anor as well in hand for Ethan.
Which has it all. Pure Steel Paladin. No artifacts even in play yet for that one. Maybe you're going to drop the hammer, try to draw a card. We'll see if Ethan has anything to say about that.
Probably.
with the fire ice involved, I think I would just fire with the hammer spell on the stack, not the hammer trigger on the stack.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where we're at right now. We see, yeah, the hammer over the lands. Going to interplay the Fire Ice. Going to go ahead and take care of the Pierce Paladin. And there is land number 3. I think off the top was for Ethan. And here is Shardless Agent. Precision of Endurance is going to be the land for turn. Going Cascading. And now, all of a sudden, there is 10 power and toughness into play for Ethan. Thanks to crashing footfalls. No Drannith Magistrates or anything like that present in order to stop that. Let's get a look at the Blood Moon. I was going to see that that's something that's going on.
Oh, no, you get a trigger again. No,
Yeah, I got a Sentinel, a Stoneforge, and
There we go,
Yeah, they're discussing how Sentinel Cascade works.
Initially, it was like Sentinel versus Fury, but...
Sure.
We're never gonna
So,
do that.
I think these 2 games are a demonstration of why the Rhinos deck is so good. Obviously, Ethan played pretty well to solidify his advantage in game 1, and he obviously did have a huge advantage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly drawing a bunch of the, Forge Anew. Yeah, drawing a bunch of the red removal is very, very key. Fury looking incredibly impressive in both of these games. And, yeah, Forge Anew, get that one up on the screen. Gonna, I think, brings back equipment, and you can, like, makes the equip cost 0.
Once
per
turn, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Well, that's all you need for Inkmoth Nexus, right?
Yeah. I mean,
once.
generally, you only need to equip a hammer once for it to be, what's the Pokemon? What's the Pokemon that carries a big hammer, like bigger than itself? I'm always reminded of that when I see the hammer deck in action.
I have no idea. That must be a new one. I knew all the old Pokemon. I don't think I know any, like, hammer carrying Pokemon. Chat can help us out here, I'm sure. They have that one dialed
It's
up.
not an invisible
Tinkaton. I have no idea what that is. Do you know what a Tinkaton is?
I've seen the picture of it, yes.
Okay, we're assembling Tinkaton. Well, here's an attack for 10 from Ethan, putting Travis down to 10. And now, facing down lethal, we will see if Travis can assemble a kill this turn. We know there's another Fire and Ice with Ethan having all of his mana up. Travis has to be a little bit nervous, but not much you can do about it. Esper Sentinel going to get deployed. You mentioned the Hammer deck struggling with creatures that have more than 4 toughness. If we simply put Sentinel in play and equip a Hammer, that would be a creature with more than 4 toughness. Is that maybe good enough to maybe wait and just pass the turn?
Yeah, I mean, it blocks, and then maybe you can set up Nexus equip the turn after. It gets kind of weird and complicated, I think, which is why you see Ethan thinking so much right here.
Yeah, this is definitely a spot that gets a little bit strange because, obviously we can still have the Fire Up Inkmoth equip, and that's just lethal on its own. So if you act here, you have to respect that, but when to pull the trigger of this removal spell isn't necessarily obvious. Of course, this signals to Travis about what's going on here.
So, the key text on Forge Anew, there's actually a lot of text. First, it reanimates an equipment, and as long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you could cast an instant. So he can sort of set the tempo as well in regards to this, which is super annoying.
Well, it looks like we're gonna, now that we've deployed the second Esper Sentinel, we're gonna just attempt to main phase it, which looks like it's just gonna happen. Is that, are we like icing this? What is our plan? We're just making more Rhinos. More Rhinos might just get the job done. A lot of cards would come off that for Travis.
So, I think with more Rhinos made, and the fact that he has Flame of Anor to kill the blocker, and the Rhinos will trample over due to how trample works, I think that might just be lethal damage.
Yeah, I think I agree with you as well. I mean, especially we're using Violent Outburst here, not with like the Trumpet Blast mode, which I think would signal to me that we are just lining up a go wide lethal kill, but we will see exactly what's going to happen there. There are 2 cards coming with Travis from these Esper Sentinels. Those triggers, active, non-active. Yeah, it looks like we're going to do a judge call real quick. I think they're just talking about active, non-active stuff. We can check the backup match while we're doing that. Here's Roddy Bettle. We saw win earlier versus Hammer as well. Gonna line up a block on the Ragavan, which will actually trade. Only 2, thanks to a removal spell that came down on one of the other Saga tokens that was made. Now Ragavan, the follow-up, second main, trigger Ledger Shredder. Gonna get a little connive action going. Looks like
A third Ragavan?
a third Ragavan discarded. Don't need all of those, no thank you. Counter coming for Ledger Shredder. Rodney down to 12. Back to Rodney we go. Saga taking up to 3. Potentially a second Amulet coming. This could be a really explosive turn for Rodney.
So I wonder if there's a kill rolled up. It's hard to see.
Yeah, I can't get a great look at what's in hand. I mean, bounce that Titan, we've seen that before.
There was a Simic Growth Chamber for sure, but I didn't get to see the other cards in hand.
Okay, so that's one piece. Now, if it's something like a Teleria West, do we have enough mana to transmute and make that happen? Maybe so with the Azusa. I do see Teleria West, and I see an Azusa. So we're starting with Simic Growth Chamber here. That's going to make 2 green, 2 blue. 1 colorless still floating from the Urza Saga. Back to hand the Simic Growth Chamber. That is land for turn.
The one problem with Azusa is if a trigger is put on the stack, you can interrupt the extra land drops being made. And basically all of Rodney's lands are going to put triggers on the stack.
Right. Well, Simic Growth Chamber does still make mana, right? Even if you only use the first one, it's still mana positive. So there's that, but it might not be enough with that. It looks like we're just shortcutting to that. So 6 mana already made.
That's enough.
Wow.
You transmute 4 pact. But the worry is, what if they actually have... Well, it's kind of crazy that they wouldn't use Unholy Heat the first time, I think. But...
Yeah, but it'd be kind of a blowout. I mean, maybe she really heads up play. So we did see a removal spell come down on one of the construct tokens made from Urza's Saga. So maybe that was just the only piece. I mean, I think there's only 1 card in hand for Jacob. Discarded Ragavan to Ledger Shredder. Not a lot of information off that. The One Ring going to go ahead and get played. That's the second spell. That's going to trigger Ledger Shredder. Give Jacob an extra look. Scalding Tarn quickly going to hit the bin. Triggers, says Rodney. Yeah, protection from everything. We did it. So we deployed Mycosynth Gardens, and now we're transmuting. It looks like we're just setting up to have everything next turn.
I haven't seen them at this event
Well,
playing it, so
yeah, it's interesting. I guess he was afraid of, or he was trying to figure out if he could be like an Holy Heat.
Yeah, and maybe next turn it's a little bit easier to do. A lot of mana, multiple cards to look at thanks to the One Ring, and obviously we get to make a 3rd Amulet thanks to Mycosynth Gardens. We'll see what we can assemble. Murktide Regent going to be cast for Jacob, and that puts quite the attack force into play. Now remember, we're delving out in Unholy Heat, so we've already been through at least one this game. We do have the One Ring trigger, so attacking not really going to accomplish a whole lot this turn. And this Murktide kind of threatening to really put the check mark on the game next turn. 1 card left in hand for Jacob. Now, if it's something like Counterspell, that would be a horrible thing to happen. Card coming for Rodney thanks to the One Ring. Burden counter placed on it. Gonna make a 3rd Amulet. And over to Rodney we go. Point taken on upkeep thanks to having 1 Burden counter on the One Ring. And a draw step coming. It is Primeval Titan. Wow.
So, I think that allows him to beat the even 1 counterspell basically, because you can overload and just play 2 Titans this turn.
Yeah, you should have 2 Titans. And there's no way Jacob has everything. I mean, there's only 1 card in hand. That doesn't counter 2 Titans. There's no way to counter 2 Titans with that. So I think Rodney might just have assembled it here. That Titan making sure that even if it's a counterspell left in hand, it's just going to work. And with Jacob's posture, I don't even know if he hasn't covered the first one. He's just going to scoop him right up. Rodney going to pick up this game. It looks like based on the overlay, that was game number 1 of our backup. What a grindy game to have happened, and really showing kind of the staying power Amulet has as we cut back to our Hammer Rhinos matchup. The 2 Rhinos made, of course, by Ethan. Unclear. It looks like we did get the Esper Sentinel triggers based on the number of cards in Travis's hand. And back to Ethan we go. 11-11 Esper Sentinel alongside a 1-1 Esper Sentinel friend holding down the fort. Now, if I remember correctly, Ethan had a Fire Ice.
No, I think it was a Flame of Anor.
Flame of Anor, sorry, yes, yeah, you called that one.
So you can only choose 1 mode on it, but you can just choose the Shatter mode on the hammer. But also
we just did attacks.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
well, I didn't roll that one, but yeah, wow.
Well, you can only block 2 Rhinos, and there are 2 Rhinos left plus a Shadow Agent, and Travis was already at 10.
Right. So the Violent Outburst did just put lethal in play anyway. No cards that were found off of the Esper Sentinel triggers were able to stave it off, and a dominant performance for Ethan Dunn, dethroning our one undefeated player in 2 swift games with the Temur Rhinos deck. And you kind of called out this deck. That's kind of really showing the power of it, the versatility of it, being able to have access to these removal spells. Even the counter spells came up. We saw Force of Negation matter quite a bit in game number 1, a card that we called out as maybe not being very good. At least I called it out. I don't want to speak for you, but we called that out. And yeah, Ethan able to get it done. 2-9-1 falls Travis. Now we're back to Rodney versus Jacob. This is game number 3. So it looks like Jacob was able to win game number 2. And we're going to kick things off very quickly with this Urza Saga going to find a Amulet of Vigor. Michael's in the Gardens in play as well. That's coming in uncounterably, so that 2 mana represented by Jacob that maybe you'd want to, maybe it's counterspell. Not going to matter too much here. The Amulet gets to get snuck into play thanks to Urza Saga. Let's see what the follow-up is here for Rodney. Still has a pile of cards in hand.
I think that's one of my favorite parts about Urza Saga and Amulet Hidden. It's a really not very good construct deck, but a very good Urza Saga deck because it's just suspend 2 for Amulet of Vigor.
Yeah, you're just on suspend amulets. Not really, you don't really want to include too many cards that like just find amulet for you, like artifact searchers or anything, because they just like dilute your deck. And yeah, here we go. Here we went for a Dryad of the Elysian Grove and a Island very quickly fetched by Scalding Tarn to cast Counterspell. Now, I'm here to tell you right now, if I'm Rodney and I see second Island fetched over Steam Vents, I got one card on my mind. It is Blood Moon.
Well, even if he doesn't have a Blood Moon in hand, it's probably correct to fetch Island anyways, because you're more likely to not draw islands. Like, it's very difficult to draw islands once there's a Blood Moon in play.
That's why Lorraine Revealed's so sick. You just cycle that thing.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, it is Blood Moon. It was shocked in Steam Vents. Blood Moon is going to be the play, and it looks like Rodney already has the forest dialed up. And I think there's a Boseiju in hand, so we have that actually covered. Maybe thinking about deploying a bounce land while you just have it. Kind of maybe use it as a ramp spell. Back to Jacob we go. Just a forest passing of the turn. No Boseiju action quite yet.
So I think Rodney's plan is to just EOT Boseiju it, untap, play bounce land, play Titan.
That seems like a good plan to me.
Judge, I'm not sure.
Well, no play is the plan for Jacob, and I think Rodney's okay with just taking draw steps if no plays are happening. Under no pressure. Why move?
So, yeah, my opponent cast Violent Outburst, I'm like, okay, cool. And as he reached, I was like, of course I'm... We're just trying to figure out, like,
another forest.
So, what are you... So, hold on. You've cast Violent Outburst. You've also cast the footballs.
The footballs had not... Like,
where is...
So the footballs was in the deck.
Making
then what is
green, cast an expedition map.
That's why I was like, probably should stop.
Thinking on that one is Jacob. We're going to counterspell that one. Wow. No expedition map for you. Back to Jacob we go.
I think the reason he counterspelled it was he was living... Well, a natural play is just crack map for Boseiju.
Sure. Yeah, if he doesn't know the Boseiju's in hand already like we do, then yeah, you got to stop that from happening. That makes a ton of sense. Great sequence from Rodney with that in mind. And here is a Murktide region tapping out on blue sources. And now, thinking that he stopped the Boseiju, Rodney set up the perfect spot to just have the Boseiju already untap and Titan, just like you called out. There it is. You see a little bit of a frown there from Jacob. He does get to search up, a land with a type, can find an island, and then we have counterspell backup if we do have access to a third one in hand. I haven't had a great look at that yet. Murktide Regent, 2 mana up. I think there's a Dress Down, which will do some amount to cover the Titan, but with Rodney under no pressure, this Murktide Regent isn't exactly lethal quite yet. So there's going to be some back and forth here as we move to Rodney's turn. See exactly how he wants to sequence this.
So it's your turn.
Correct. It's on my end. That's why I countered the map, was because I thought you were going to go Boseiju.
That means that...
Yeah, he countered the map because he thought he was going to go get Boseiju. We can hear the players discussing what happened there.
So...
Yeah.
That means that...
Yeah, love it so much. Roddy deploying the expedition map with already Boseiju in hand. Oh, so cool. Because here is... Mike's in the Garden's going to make a copy of the Amulet of Vigor. Now, our Gruul Turf's going to come in, have 2 untapped triggers, going to make green and red. That is in mana pool. Now, we're going to add a 5th, 6th, 7th. So 3 of each, both green and red, and 1 white. And Titan going to be cast with white in the pool and dress down the response.
It's like, I don't also don't know how.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to stop the ETB.
I'll barely.
Yeah, okay. That's just going to happen. Dress down's going to resolve. Draw a card for
Yeah,
Jacob.
I mean, if you're okay with
And
that, then just-
Rodney's going to let the mana float away. Just pass the turn. Dress down's going to be sacrificed on instep. And back to Jacob we go. Murktide in play, but there's a Primeval Titan in play. Got to do something about that one.
They wouldn't have even been.
So we have 2 enchantments in graveyard. We can
We also played that.
crack the Scalding Tarn to get a second type. We would need 2 more types for Unholy Heat to kill Titan. It doesn't seem like we're very close.
Like that.
I think you should be at 16.
No.
Oh,
So-
we're doing a little bit of life total check here. I believe we're going
Yeah.
down to
You didn't have a
4,
force of will.
or sorry, 16. So
Yeah.
we fetched twice, shocked once, and then now we're gonna fetch and shock to 14 we go. Yeah, so we need to get some types in the yard if we're gonna want Unholy Heat to work. That's what you called out. And Consider does a considerable job at improving that. We'll see if we can surveil another type to the yard, and we sure can. It's Mishra's Bobble.
Okay.
Now if Unholy Heat's a draw, it's online.
Yep.
Good luck in the rest of the event.
So
Rodney
Rodney-
preaching.
he knows.
I love this so much. You gonna kill it? You sure is. There's Unholy Heat. Called it out. Look at that. Gonna take care of the Primeval Titan. Now I think we know Rodney has another Primeval Titan. Jacob does not. Either way, the first one is taken care of. Murktide Regent, 5/5 in the air, currently representing a 4-turn clock. Mishra's Bobbles the follow-up for Jacob. Gonna take a look at his own card.
Because he just wins the game on the spot.
Already fetched this turn, has Jacob. Can inform the rest of his turn and his sequencing.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we...
Their second Merc. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
second Murktide Regent played.
This is one of the scariest things to face off against in the format because you basically get to double dip on all the instants and sorceries here.
That's a great answer.
Right, and we haven't even attacked yet, so some of that damage is hasty. And you can see Rodney helping out with the counters. Attack with Murktide Regent. This one now a 7/7. And all of a sudden, we have 7/5. That's all but 1 damage of lethal next turn. Bolt would definitely finish it off. And there's Summoner's Pact right away.
Oh no.
Already putting Jacob to the test. What you got?
Jacob
Are you
does not
kidding
look
me?
happy.
Does not look like happy to see that at all. That is the face of someone that does not have an answer to a Primeval Titan in
I just
hand.
like how close you make the
And I think we still know that Rodney has a bounce land hand. I think it's Growlithe.
Not a
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, it's a Gruul Turf, the same one we saw
But he's
last
fetching
turn.
so quickly. What do we have?
It's sitting in your face. So,
So-
double Civic Growth Chamber.
Okay, so I guess we're going for a different route. If we have a second Titan, we can obviously play it.
Right. I mean, that's what this looks like to me. Is we're just making a pile of mana, maybe like transmute. Yeah, it's transmute for the next Titan. Okay. Now things are weird because you need the Boros Garrison.
No, so now well,
Cast.
with the second Titan, it works. So you just tap the Garrison, get a Titan, you get Vesuva Garrison, or Vesuva Stronghold, haste up both. That's 16 minus that. I guess after that it becomes a little bit weirder.
Yeah, we have packs to pay for if we have to untap. So that could get kind of messy too. Like normally we're talking about casting a bunch of Summoner's Packs. Usually means you're just dead this turn, and it's looking like that might happen. I don't think we can double strike though. So, but Jacob did just fetch and shock. We're at 12.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it'll be 8. No,
16 minus 5
Oh, no.
11.
did he
plus
side
one
out
double
his
strike.
Sunhill? He's asking, did
Oh,
he side
no.
out his Sun Home?
No, I still have this one.
Oh no.
Okay,
Well,
he still
there's
has that. But I think he
there's
might have sided out a
Stronghold
different.
Suva.
Oh, you still have double strike, boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, if we sided out Sunhome, we're gonna be a point or two short, I think.
I want to
That's
have
16 minus
lots of
5, that's 11. It goes to 1.
Oh no, I need it. It has to be this one.
And Roddy's not dead, but
So
we
this
need to
will
find a way
copy
to pay
this.
for 2
I'll
packs,
get
which
double
we might
haste
have
and haste.
access to. We get the attack
I'm
lands. I
gonna
have to
lose
imagine
my
we're going to be able to have
yeah.
enough mana.
I will pick
As
up my
Vesuva
first.
does need to pick up a land,
You are
Slayer Stronghold is going to be the one.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
did.
copying Boros
So these both
Garrison,
have
able
haste.
to use Slayer Stronghold plus Vesuva, which is the copy
Yeah,
of
both
Boros
have
Garrison.
plus,
Untaps to give
I'll
both
attack you for
Titans
16,
plus
I'll
equals
get
0,
triggers.
and
I have blocked
haste
one.
Yeah,
and
you'll block,
vigilance.
they'll go to
Attacking
1.
with both does trigger both Titans, which we're going to go searching now. And we see Jacob very quickly blocking. I believe he's identified this is not lethal.
16 minus 5, right?
Yeah,
That's
the
11.
problem is the Vesuva's already used. Most people don't play 2 Vesuvas anymore. So we're just going to get a bunch of lands to pay both the
Yeah,
packs.
yeah, just a bunch of forests and stuff so we can pay for packs. I don't think we have enough forests to, around Blood Moon, pay for these
No,
packs,
but
though,
this
right?
is smart. You just get Simic Growth Chamber and bounce the Boseiju to your hand.
Oh, so you can up. Okay, yeah. Look at that. Rodney's got it all. Look at all angles covered. Not going to dive to Blood Moon today. Draw step looks like an expressive iteration, DRC in hand. Okay, that's got to be a start. We have a lot of red mana. Something like double bolt off of expressive iteration. I have to imagine would be lethal. Yeah, that's exactly. We need to find double bolt.
Yeah.
Though.
The question is how many bolts you actually have left in your deck.
True as well. Not great in this matchup normally.
Well,
Dragon Chandler deployed.
It kills the Zuza. It can clear out a Grazer. I'm not sure. Like, there's a lot going on there.
Right. That is Unholy Heat, is the Surveil off of Expressive Iteration cast. Gonna leave that one where it is. Is that
It's 2 heats?
2
2
heats?
heats and Ragavan. So I guess the plan is to just mow down all the Titans. I think that doesn't really... Right?
Oh yeah, we still have double Amulet. You know, there's a lot of mana that we need to pay. There's a lot of mana that we have. I imagine that he has the ability to pay for it. Otherwise, you know, we're very rolled up if he can't even cast a Titan. Draw a step for Rodney. Looks to be Selesnia's Sanctuary. Hand of a lot of cards, most of them lands. Valakut among the
You
mix.
don't have a fiery islet in there, do you?
You don't have a fiery islet in there, do you? And yeah, it's all lands in hand. Rodney extends the hand. That's going to be the end of game number 3. Murktide's going to win it off double Unholy Heat. Impressive iteration. Wow. Wow. I thought he had all angles covered with the Boseiju play, but having no, I mean, he might have been out of Tolaria West or whatever, but having no Tolaria West back, able to get another Titan, no Titans at all left in hand, that's going to do it. 1 point is not 0. Nobody proved it better than Jacob there. Is Jacob going to advance to 8-2 here at SCGCON Columbus after what was an electric game of Murktide versus Amulet. I mean, probably some of the most interactive that matchup could be. Counter spells, removal spells from both ends. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I think what happened was the Sunhome got sided out, most likely. Otherwise, it was pretty easy to assemble lethal there.
Yeah, I mean, that came up big time there when he had double Titan. And maybe normally it's not very good in the matchup or whatever. You know, certainly, obviously, if Blood Moons are part of the mix, going to be a little bit weaker. But, you know, kind of mattered in that spot. And that is kind of the trickiness of the Amulet deck, is you end up with all these weird puzzles of how to kill people from certain spots, especially from certain sideboard configurations. And, you know, in that particular spot, there wasn't really a path out. And it gave Jacob the exact window he needed. Impressive stuff. Well, that is it for round number 10 here of SCGCON Columbus. We will, of course, be back for round number 11 here shortly. But in the meantime, we are going to cut to a very quick break before we bring you more modern action. Don't go anywhere.